Hi, welcome to a lesson for the neck and shoulders. When you're ready, go ahead and lie down and come to rest on your mat, on your bed, or wherever you feel comfortable. And just take a moment here to breathe and feel your contact, noticing what you sense and feel in the body and the breath, letting everything settle and allowing the breath to breathe you. Feeling the contact of your feet, your legs, your tailbone, and noticing your spine. When you're ready, take one arm up toward the ceiling, and we're just going to keep the fingertips straight, or we can let the hand be soft. The elbow is straight, but not too locked. And we're just gonna lift the shoulder off the ground. And if you can try doing it on an exhale, just lifting straight up, and it's as though somebody has a string around your wrist, or you can imagine a balloon and they're just pulling like this. Just imagining that movement of someone pulling your wrist and the shoulder comes along, straight up. And notice your breath and how the shoulder lifts and how the chest on that side softens in order for you to lift. Notice what your head is doing as well as your eyes. And when you're ready, pause and put that down. Rest for a moment. And as you rest, notice the difference between your two shoulders. Notice what feels different. There's always the option too to have the legs in standing like I have them, or you can have them long depending on what feels good for you in this lesson. We're going to do our other shoulder now. So same movement, just lifting the shoulder as though you have a string around the wrist and you're being lifted in that direction of just straight up. And without trying hard, just breathing out and allowing the arm to lift a little bit, only as far as is comfortable, and feeling the return of the shoulder blade to the ground. And noticing that return, what does that feel like when it's resting? Before it lifts again, where does it rest? See if you can do this on the exhale. And notice the rest of the body, how it responds. If your head moves, your eyes, your tongue. Pause and rest for a moment. And notice your shoulders, feeling the contact of each shoulder. Noticing the difference now. With just a small movement on each side, we've made a difference already in our chest and in our shoulders and our contact overall. So just letting that settle for a moment as you breathe, and then bringing both arms up and doing the same thing. Let's alternate. So we're going to do one arm lifts and comes back, and the other arm just lifting the shoulder blade off the ground. And notice as you do this gently and slowly in your own timing, which arm is easier to lift, which shoulder blade comes off the ground just a little bit easier. So take your time to figure out which one is easier for you. And once you've got that, just pause and rest. I'm going to demonstrate my right side because that was my easier, but you can be doing your left side. So whatever side you thought was easier, we'll continue with in a moment, but just notice the contact of your shoulders again. As you let everything settle, notice how it kind of ripples down the body and has an effect on everything overall. Feel the relaxation in your eyes, face, and jaw. Got my helper. When you're ready, we're going to take that arm that's easier up, and instead of lifting it, we're going to push the shoulder into the floor in different directions so we can feel parts of the shoulder blade. So start wherever it feels comfortable. I'm starting with the top of my shoulder, so I'm pressing that down, and in order to do that, my arm has to go a little bit up, I think. So I'm playing with where do I need to move the arm, and I'm keeping it relatively straight in order to feel that shoulder blade contact. You can also place a hand on that side of the chest that's lifting if you'd like, just to feel what's sinking there as you press. So we're pressing the shoulder blade back into the floor just to feel the contact and the shape of the shoulder blade and where it rests on the floor. I'm moving my arm around to feel different places in the shoulder blade. So maybe going in a circle. The shoulder blade is triangular in shape. But if you think of it like a plate, just kind of going around it, noticing the edges, and just finding parts of the shoulder blade that maybe aren't contacting as much but can easily contact when you press them down. Can you find the inside of your shoulder blade and press that down? That's a little bit harder to find. So taking the arm out, sometimes that helps to find the inside of the shoulder blade, and then we press that down. And you can feel that with your hand on your chest. And the outside of the shoulder blade is easier if the arm goes more toward the midline, and you can sink that outside. You probably can't see me. Outside of your shoulder blade down. So sinking that part down. And you don't need to see me, you're just feeling through this. But if you want an example of like how I'm moving my arm or what I'm doing to feel, then you can check it out. And I'm moving my arm a little wider now so I can see, does that help me feel a little bit more? And just so you know, when you do these lessons, if you have distractions too, just see the best way to integrate them, because that's life. You know, we want the chaos to go on around us, not inside of us. And that's what I hope to impart. When you're ready, pause and bring that shoulder down and just feel the difference between your two shoulders. Just take a moment with that to feel, does your shoulder blade feel lower or more relaxed? And how does the arm feel on that side? How do the ribs feel on that side? And notice any other differences in the body as you rest. Just taking another moment to rest. Let's bring that same arm up when you're ready. And now we're going to circle around those points. So I'm going to start at the top. You can start wherever you want. I'm going to try to find the top of my shoulder blade. And I think for me, that's pushing it out here. And I'm not really sure. So I'm kind of on the top outside of right. So I'm going to start there and just go up. And try to feel, do I need to move my arm up or down, in or out to find, going around to the inside of the shoulder blade now. And just try to figure out the pathway of the arm to press the shoulder blade back to make a circle. And so right now I'm just kind of at the edges going up and down to find it. And eventually I want to create a circle with my arm as it circles the shoulder blade, feeling the shoulder blade and circling around it like a plate. And then trying the other direction, and you can always pause or go slower. And if you can't feel parts of your shoulder blade, that's okay. Just see what you can feel. If you get to a place where you're not sure, just pause there and linger and see what's possible before you go on. Go slower if you're not sure if it's pressing. And when you're ready, come to a rest from that and pause. And just take a moment to really feel the difference between that shoulder that was just pressing back, but now has some clarification of where that shoulder blade is, how it can rest on the floor or be back behind the body, and what it's shaped like. When we have information like that, not just the shape, but what we feel is the shape. Our brain does the rest like magic. It fills it in to help the shoulder blade rest comfortably. Continue resting. Just notice the difference between the two shoulders. And then when you're ready, bring that same shoulder back and then stand that same side leg. So if it's your right shoulder, it'll be your right leg. And for the left, it's the left leg. We're going to push into the foot to roll the pelvis. But before you do, we're going to keep the shoulder blade down. So have your shoulder blade so that it's on the ground. You can push it back if you want to make sure it's there. And then roll the pelvis, but keep your shoulder blade down and notice what happens to your ribs. We're pressing into that standing foot. This knee is somewhat toward the ceiling, and we're rolling the pelvis. As you press into the foot, it starts to take your pelvis, but we're keeping that shoulder blade down and feeling what happens to the ribs, and maybe even to your shoulder as you do this. Holding the shoulder blade down, feeling the ribs as you roll your pelvis in the opposite direction. Just feeling that interesting movement all through the ribs. Let's just go with that one more time. You can go at your own pace. I tend to slow down as I go so I can really feel what's happening in my body. Just feeling the ribs are being dragged down in a way, but also opened up. That's what I'm sensing. So notice what you sense. It could be totally different. And come to rest and just feel the whole side of your back, your shoulder, your whole body. And resting just a little bit longer to feel everything. Once more, bring that same leg up and the same arm. We're going to alternate now. So once we're going to lift the shoulder and bring it all the way back down. Once it's resting comfortably, we're going to push into the foot and roll the pelvis, keeping the shoulder down, just as you did before. Wait for the pelvis to fully return. Make sure it's in neutral. Pause, and then lift the shoulder. So you're just going back and forth and alternating, but you're taking your time to make sure that they're two separate, distinct movements. So you're not rushing one to go to the other. You're curious about the one that you're doing right now. Taking all the time you need for each one. An honest amount of time, so it's not a jerky movement, it becomes smoother. Just training the body to move in a way that works so well for our nervous system. And when you're ready, you could continue this, or you can take a rest and pause. If you're going to rest, notice the difference between your two sides. An option to come all the way up to stand and walk around to really feel the difference between the two sides. And that is up to you. So I will wait just a minute in case you want to come all the way up. If you're resting, feel the difference in your back, in your neck, in both sides of your hips, in your whole body. Just what a difference this makes. And if you're walking, notice the difference between your feet and both sides of the body, just feeling the variations, what's totally different. And when you're ready to come back, we're going to start with the same side, and we're going to do both together. So we're going to push into the foot and lift the arm at the same time to roll to the other side. You may have to sweep your arm out of the way. I'm going to show both sides on the floor. So your nervous system knows that if you have a long arm there, it might have to move. So as you do the shoulder and arm, you might have to sweep that arm out of the way, just so you have room to go. Because otherwise the nervous system will stop here and think that's... And go as far as you can go comfortably, feeling both the joints are doing the same thing. Your shoulder and your hip. Rolling to your other side, just feeling what it's like to transfer weight over to the opposite side. Pause that, and just rest the leg, keep the arm up, and now lift the arm, just the shoulder, just as you did before, and just notice the ease in doing it now, that it's become an easier movement. So now reaching is going to become more of a whole body movement rather than just with the hand and the forearm. The reaching will come from the shoulder, from the whole body, from the spine. Pause. Go ahead and roll your head a little from one side to the other before we do our other side, just to notice what you notice that's different. Feeling any differences, sensing the difference from side to side, especially in your shoulders and neck. Coming back to center when you're ready, let's take that other arm and we're going to press the shoulder blade back just to feel different places. So explore what it's like to press your shoulder blade into the floor, moving your arm, keeping the elbow relatively straight so that the shoulder can push back, and finding out where you can press into the shoulder blade. This may be a movement that you don't do often, and you might not have all parts of your shoulder blade available, but whatever you can press, just notice, where can you find a spot? Can you find the inside or the outside? Can you find the top or the bottom? And then pause and rest for just a moment. And feel the difference in your shoulder blade just from that pressing, and in the neck on that side. Once again, bring that arm up. Let's find a way to circle that shoulder on the floor. So we're gonna just take our time to find a spot to start. And you might just start by pressing in a circle, pressing in and out, just to find those spots. When it gets smooth, when you're moving from one place to another on your shoulder blade, then you can start to do the circle around. Now, some people might have like pops in their shoulder, and what I've learned, and I can't say that this is correct, but the best advice I've heard is that if it's a pop that's unusual, it's probably making space. If you feel it a lot, it's probably habitual, and that means there's some contraction or somewhere where you need to do less. Let me know too in the comments if you have a different theory on the bones cracking for energy and other things. And then circle the opposite direction, and seeing if you can find those parts of your shoulder. That can press back, and where you need to go to do that pressing. And then rest that arm and you're ready. Just pause. Noticing the two arms, especially the one you just worked with, that shoulder. And that side of the neck, is that becoming easier to feel that it's relaxed? Bring that same side leg up and the same arm we were just working with. And now keep that shoulder glued down so you know how to press it back into the floor, and then push into the foot to roll the pelvis. But don't take the shoulder. So let the shoulder stay. Feel what happens in your ribs when you don't take the shoulder. What's happening in your ribs? You can put a hand on your ribs if you want to feel how they move without the shoulder coming along. And then when you're ready, pause that and rest. And feel the difference. Notice how your breathing is now, if that's changed due to some relaxation in your neck or your shoulders. Once again, bring the leg and arm back up, and this time we're going to alternate. So once we'll hold the shoulder and push into the pelvis, bringing that back, and then the other time you're going to lift the shoulder. Wait for it to come all the way back before you roll the pelvis. Wait for the movement to stop in one area and rest before you start the next movement. And feel the return of each movement, not just the pelvis rolling to the side, but how does it come back? And how does the shoulder come back? What is the process of return? And then pause and rest for a moment. Noticing what your sense of your body is. If you feel anything getting bigger, wider, or easier to rest on the floor. And noticing your breathing and the ease of the breath. Once again, bring that arm and shoulder up. This time we'll take them together, rolling to the opposite side. Take your time to do this movement, and again, remember that you can sweep that opposite arm out of the way so you have room to roll. You don't need to lift the head though. You can just roll with the shoulder and the hip. Just go as far as is comfortable, then return. Try not to go as far as you think you can. Just feel the opposite side of the body and the contact there, and have it be an honest movement of, this is really a movement I could do all the time, every day, every moment. That easy. So we're finding the easiness in it. And that might mean you do less or go smaller. Whenever you return, let's pause and bring that down. And just taking a moment to sense and feel your whole body. Feeling your neck and shoulders. Rolling your head a little from one side to the other and just noticing the difference in the movement of the head and the freedom in your neck. Take all the time you need to start to come up to a seated position. And in any seated position, just take a moment to feel how your shoulders are on your back. They're where they're supposed to be. They're resting comfortably. They should be feeling great anyways. And then your neck is free and you can do any kind of movements, but try not to do anything too strenuous for the next couple of hours, whether it's like really bending your neck or doing something super athletic. And if you need to, just be conscious of your neck and shoulders as they continue to change in the brain for the next couple of hours to allow for more freedom and space in the body. Thank you for joining me.